Hello. Here in this video, what we're going to look to do here is solve this with factoring and also using the zero product property. Now remember that zero product property is just a process that we do at the end of this video. So to begin our factoring process, first thing we like to do is check to make sure that we are equal to zero, right, which we indeed are. That's going to be important to match this up with that zero product property at the end of this process. We don't have anything to worry about there. And then we also know that we would like to check for a greatest common factor. So I'm looking through here to see if there is a greatest common factor. I see that both 3 and 7 are prime numbers, so there's no way that there's going to be a greatest common factor involved with this expression here on the left. So now we're going to go through and set up our factoring. So what I'm looking for is the factors of my a value, right? So factors of 3. Then when I multiply those with the factors of my -6, that combination has to add to give us our 7. Right, so this is just me keeping track of my different factors. Now we know here for this -6 that one of these factors is going to have to be negative. Not sure which one it is, depends on whatever kind of combination that we are looking for here. So it may take you a couple tries to figure out which one of these combinations of the factors of 3 with the factors of -6 that add to give me a 7 will work. But after looking, you may notice that if we do a 3 times a positive 3, that'll give me a 9. And if I do this 1 times the -2, right, so 1 times the -2, we have a -2, and I can check that if I add that with a 9, we get our -7. So that's the combination we're looking for there. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my parentheses here. So we know that we've got our factors of a. We had a 1 and a 3. My variable's an x, so I'll have a 1x and a 3x. Now I know that that 1x needs to multiply by that -2. So I need to put it here in the other parenthesis. That 3x multiplied with the positive 3. So I'll put it in this parenthesis. And we are still equal here to a 0. So once we have it set up here in our factors, this is where that zero product property comes into play. This is where we take each piece of our factored answer and we set it up equal to 0. What this is helping us find is what x has to be in order to make each individual factored piece of this equal to 0. Right? Because if I find out what x makes this 0, 0 times anything gives me a 0. Same thing for the other piece. If this is a 0, I multiply it, I will get to my 0. That's what the zero product property is. That's why we factor it, so that we can figure this out. That's why it needs to be equal to 0. So once we get it here, it's just solving basic equations. We'll subtract 3 from both sides here. We'll get that one of our answers is x is equal to a -3. Here we have a basic 2 step. I will add 2 to both sides, leaving me with 3x is equal to 2. Then when I do my last step of division, we are left over here with that x is equal to a positive 2/3. So these are the two answers that we get for this. These are our x-intercepts. Same answers we would get if we did this with quadratic formula or completing the square. So all along the same family of just solving quadratics, this was the factoring and zero product property method.